TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
The NFL was as packed as my fridge this weekend. Hello, you beautiful people. I hope the holiday treated you well. It's Mozzie, it's Live Zone, and welcome to the Extra Point. Live Zone, what's going on? How we doing?
We got a lot to talk about. Thanksgiving games, a hell of a performance by Mr. Josh Allen himself. Got a few guys that might stick around for years to come that we're going to be talking about here. So let me know what we're getting into.
Hell yeah, we have a jam-packed show. We're hopping to Chicago. Breaking news out of there, not really breaking anymore, happened over the weekend. Rightfully so. Thankfully, Matt Eberflus out of Chicago as the head coach. Finally, a glimmer of hope for Chicago, maybe. First firing ever for this franchise mid-season. Thomas Brown coming in as the interim head coach for the Chicago Bears. Live Zone, what are we thinking this does for Chicago? 1. 2, what do we think is in store for their game against San Francisco? Does this offense finally open up, air it out, feel a little more relaxed? Are they tightening up, and are they just going to keep rolling with what they have and maybe slide into a pretty good pick?
I mean, I like the move, getting rid of the coach. We were saying when they hired him that he should have been fired right away. So for that reasoning, I'm going to say that this offense opens up. I like what I'm seeing from Caleb Williams, even though he's not having the best performances. He's still having okay performances in these games. They're just losing close games because of 1, clock management, 2, coaching, and 3, the offense really doesn't have a lot of leeway. It's all about what the coach wanted and who the coach wanted to throw to and everything like that. It was always get the ball to Moore. And then after that, it was like, all right, well, Moore's now double coverage, so now go to Keenan Allen. And it wasn't working out for Chicago. And now that we have a different coach, just maybe we see something different from Chicago, maybe. But I still think that they struggle a little bit because I don't think that the head coach that they have now is capable of being a head coach in the NFL. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he proved something to me this weekend, but I still think that they have trouble with the offense a little bit. But it definitely opens up a hell of a lot more, and I think they take this game against the San Francisco 49ers.
So Matt Eberflus confidently said he would be coaching this San Francisco 49ers game. That is not the case. Rightfully so after the travesty we saw with 23 seconds left in the game, not taking a timeout, terrible clock management, letting Caleb Williams manage the clock in that scenario, not knowing where he was, throwing a pass downfield with 6 seconds left that ultimately was incomplete and time expired as that happened. This Chicago team, you followed us. I've been saying since the beginning of the year, I thought they would run this division. This division has surprised a lot of people. I thought it was going to be the strongest division in the NFL. It's arguably that. Now, Chicago 4-8 on the year, I believe. Going against San Fran coming up here. Going to be a tough game. I did say San Fran would lose out, so I do see Chicago winning this game, but not because of the new coaching decision at all. I just think they're looser and they play more like they have nothing to lose. They're just going to be out there flinging the ball around, trying to make something happen, trying to shed some glimmer of hope on this season that's been long, hard, tough. Caleb Williams, didn't live up to the level of hype that was created for him. This offense leaves something on the table to be desired. DJ Moore has done his thing. Keenan Allen's done all right. Romeo Odunze, the rookie, for me, has been a disappointment. And coming from me, I was high on him coming into this league. So for me to say that, it means a lot coming from me. But again, the coaching, getting fired, perfect, great scenario for Chicago. I think they should be very happy that they got rid of him. I believe he's 5-19 now in one-score games over his time with Chicago, which is just absolutely horrific, capping it off with an embarrassing way to lose the game on Thanksgiving in front of everybody. Couldn't have been a more worse situation to lose the game in that way. Was on Thanksgiving, first game on Thanksgiving. Everyone is ready to watch that game. It becomes a game at the end, and you lose by not managing the clock right with a timeout in your pocket. Oh, and you're an NFL head coach.
Now, listen, I will say
God.
this. I
God.
will. I will say this. When it comes to Caleb Williams, he has not lived up to the hype yet. I do think now that Eberflus is out, I think we have a better chance of seeing Caleb Williams do his thing like he did in college. Like you said, they have nothing to lose right now. That's when Caleb Williams was playing his best in college. He had nothing to lose. He just went out there and he shined above the rest. I can see that happening now that they don't have their
All
head
out.
coach. And yeah, I can see that happening now that they don't have their head coach in their system. Now, when it comes to Roma Dunze, he has to start getting a few more touches. That was the problem with Odunze. It wasn't his talent. The talent is there. He's one of the best wide receivers in this draft class, if not top 3, I would say. But he needs to get more touches. That's the reason why we're seeing guys like Brian Thomas on Jacksonville and Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. That's why they keep on getting brought up, is because they're getting touches. Now with this wide receiver core, I understand that it's not Roma Odunze's team like it is the other guys' team, but at the end of the day, he's still one of the best rookie wide receivers, and he's not getting any touches on the field until maybe the third quarter. That's a
I
problem.
know.
Now,
Yeah.
I will say that there is one guy that I think is going to do phenomenal for this team. We were talking about him in the beginning of the season. If you went back and watched our other stuff when we were on TCN and all that, we said that DeAndre Swift was going to have a career year. I do think now that we're not seeing the rock in the coach's pocket, and now it's going into Caleb Williams' pocket, I see DeAndre Swift really stepping up for this team and being a leader for this team the same way that Joe Mixon is a leader for his team in Houston right now. I see that with DeAndre Swift. But at the end of the day, I think that this team is a hell of a lot better off without that coach in this system. And I think that because of it, they're going to start winning some more games.
Absolutely. Gotta agree with you on the Romeo and Duze thing. Man's averaging 6 targets a game. That's just not enough for him to put up any numbers. You know, if he's 50% or 75%, that's still only 4 to 5, maybe 3 at the bottom catches on the day. That's just not enough for a player of his caliber, frankly. I know the offense is stacked, like you said, but he's got to get more touches. But we're going to see. It's going to be a fun one. I believe it's in, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's in Chicago coming up this week. The Niners are traveling out there. This is the hardest part of the Niners schedule. We're not going to get to talk about the Niners that much, but I see them going to Chicago and losing if it is in Chicago. Let me verify that a little. I'll check into it. Chicago and Niners. Let me
And
see.
why are you
It
doing
is
that?
in San Fran. So my
Yeah,
apologies. San Fran hosting the Bears. I still think the Bears can take this one.
I do as well. The Bears are definitely going to be the team to watch out for this weekend, the surprise of the weekend at least. But, I do want to say, while we're talking about them San Francisco 49ers fans, hello, guys. Yeah, how's Christian McCaffrey doing this season?
I know.
We called this since week 4, right? When he went
Let's
out. I
get into
mean,
it. Let's go to Buffalo. Let's talk about it. We'll talk about both sides of it. All right. Buffalo is legit. It's not a question. It is a statement at this point. The second ranking offense in the league. Josh Allen, the MVP in my eyes. 20 TDs, 5 interceptions, 2,700 yards. In this game last week alone, 1 receiving touchdown, 1 throwing touchdown, and 1 rushing touchdown. First time it's ever been done by any player in the sport ever since stats have been recorded. That's dope. He even started himself in fantasy. He knew what was good. You got this offense rocking. Okay, it's not at the beginning of the year. I wouldn't have said this was a scary offense on paper. I would say maybe definitely top 15, maybe top 10, but Cooper, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, James Cook. I mean, everybody's cooking. James Cook was going off against the Niners in the Snow Bowl. They put up 35 to 10 Bills over the Niners. Live zone. Are the Bills legit? I know I said it was a statement. Are they legit? Can they play with Kansas City and the best of them?
the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the AFC. I will put it to you that way. Buffalo is legit. They've been legit. It's just that they've been overlooked because Stephon Diggs left, and we thought that Josh Allen was the problem. And then we started to see how the run game started doing, and everybody was getting excited for James Cook, and he was going to have an Adrian Peterson year. And then they started getting the pass game in, and Keon Coleman and Amari Cooper and Shakir. They started doing their thing. Then after that, for a brief time, then after that, Dalton Kincaid started to get some touches, and you were like, uh-oh, what's going to happen next? And then boom, mic drop, here comes Josh Allen on the run game. This team is going to kill you in whatever way you don't play them. It's literally almost impossible to guard this team on the defensive side. That's because they're so well-rounded right now. This is the closest that we've seen, in my eyes, to a Patrick Mahomes team that won the Super Bowl. This is the most influential, this is the most talented team that we have seen that's going to go against a Kansas City team. I know a lot of people are going to talk about Cincinnati, but Cincinnati was a 1-year run. The Buffalo Bills have been going at it for 4 straight years. The Buffalo Bills are legit. It's their year. If you watch Bets Live last night, I said that the Buffalo Bills were going to win this week and that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to lose this week. So the Buffalo Bills end up getting the #1 seed, and it's not going anywhere. The Buffalo Bills are not looking back since week 9. They're taking the #1 spot this week, and they're going to do their thing in the playoffs.
Okay. Okay. I disagree that they're the best team in the AFC. I respect Buffalo. They are legit. They are a top 5 team in the league. I'll give them that. They are not the #1 seed in the AFC until they prove it to me in a game that fully matters. Yes, they beat the Chiefs in a regular season game that in the grand scheme of things could mean them getting home field advantage over Kansas City. So yes, it could matter in that aspect, but I'm talking about where it's a game where you don't win, you don't play the next week. I need to see them convert against that team in that scenario. They can go undefeated against the entire league, and if they lose to that team, it's all for nothing. And time again, 0-4, you said 4 times in a row, 0-4 classically in Super Bowls, 0-4 classically against Patrick Mahomes. I believe he might have 1 in the playoffs. Did he get 1?
I think so.
I think
I
he
believe
got
so.
1 win, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that.
Yeah, no,
But
he had to at least get 1 win because he went against the Kansas City Chiefs.
absolutely. So, anyways, my point of the matter is the Kansas City, until they're not the team to beat, they are the team to beat. They are the number one seed in the AFC. They are the number one seed in the AFC. I don't know if I see them. I didn't see this Raiders game being that close for Kansas City. That game just crept in, kept creeping. They stayed in the game. Brock Bowers lighting it up. We'll get to him soon. But Kansas City in these last couple of games has had me worried, but this is where Kansas City is the team to beat in my eyes. They win the games they're supposed to win every single time. It might not be pretty. It might not be the game plan, and it might not be what you want to see out of them at all. But they win the game. End of the day, they win the game. And until that stops happening, they're going to be the team to beat.
I listen. All right, so I understand what you're saying. I understand that the Kansas City Chiefs are winning these games that they need to win. But if we look at the Buffalo Bills won the game that they needed to win this season against the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost that game, okay? Number one. Number two, I'm going to say this. Kansas City, for some reason, they bring out the best of every single team. We saw it with the Buffalo Ravens.
Because they're the defending champs, bro.
We saw it with the Baltimore Ravens. We saw it with the Baltimore Ravens. They lost by a flag call, or an out of bounds call. Sorry. Then after that, we saw it with Cincinnati. We saw it with the Oakland Raiders. But here's the difference. Those teams are not good enough to beat the Kansas City Chiefs right now. The team that everybody is looking at to beat the Kansas City Chiefs is the guys that beat them in the regular season, and that is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills holds everything in their hands right now, and it's theirs to lose. So when we talk about a prototype quarterback, the two names that come up are Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. And this week, we're going to see why Patrick Mahomes is not – I'm going to say this by not talent-wise, but I'm going to say this by structure-wise and everything like that. We're going to see why that Patrick Mahomes is not a prototype quarterback and a quarterback that came out of nowhere that is just phenomenal. We're going to see why Justin Herbert and Josh Allen are prototype quarterbacks, and it's going to happen this week when LA beats the Kansas City Chiefs and when Buffalo wins their game against the LA Rams and takes that number one spot from the Kansas City Chiefs. And we're going to see the first year that Buffalo Bills don't have any problems going into the playoffs, that are headstrong on winning games and is going to get there. The Buffalo Bills are the team to beat in the AFC.
Bold claims. I'll take a non-conforming, non-prototype quarterback with 3 rings over 2 conforming prototype quarterbacks with 0 rings combined any day of the week. Also, let's point out Josh Allen is 0-3 all-time in the playoffs against the Kansas City Chiefs. This year will be 0-4, following in the footsteps of the great Jim Kelly. 0-4.
I do want to say
0-4.
I want to say one last thing before we get into our ad. Buffalo Bills, I want you to remember, I want you to go back to the Patriots days, okay? When the Patriots lost Randy Moss, what ended up happening? What did Tom Brady do? He won 3 rings, right? So he lost his best wide receiver that he had, the great Randy Moss, the greatest wide receiver of all time, and then he turns around and wins 3 rings because he has no problems on his team. No guys that are influencing other things outside of the game. That's what we're seeing in Buffalo right now. Josh Allen, it has a team that is running with him, that wants to win, that is fully engaged in the football game instead of the media. And because of that reason, Buffalo's going to win this year.
Kansas City. All right. Brock Bowers has special powers. That's coming up. But first, a word from Atlanta Steaks. And we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brock Bowers went off this weekend. If you had him on your fantasy team, you definitely won your matchup. Live Zone knows that
Yes, I
all
do.
too well. Now, Brock Bowers is looking unstoppable, on pace for 1,000-yard season, catching passes from the stash, Gardner Minshew, and Aiden O'Connell, the friend with the better picks, guys. You're looking at Oakland. Your one bright spot is your tight end. Is Brock Bowers a future, a new age Robert Gronkowski? And is Oakland looking to get a quarterback come draft to match up with him?
Yeah, 110%. They're looking for a quarterback to match with them. Now, when we talk about Rob Gronkowski, I don't know about that. I'm seeing more Tony Gonzalez. That's who I'm seeing as a comparison for Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers has those hands. He can catch lights out. He can block. He can do anything that you ask of a tight end, where Rob Gronkowski was mainly just a receiving tight end. So for that reason, I'm gonna say that Brock Bowers is going to be one of the greats, and will definitely be, if he keeps on this route, will definitely be one, if not top three of best or best tight ends of all time. I just don't know if he will get up to the Rob Gronkowski hype. Yes, he's putting up better stats right now in his rookie year, but the rookie year, you got to remember what Rob Gronkowski was dealing with. He was the second tight end on the New England Patriots with Aaron Hernandez there. So for that reasoning, I'm going to say that he's not going to be as great as Rob Gronkowski, but he's going to be a top three tight end of all time if he keeps on going the route that he's going. Now, when we talk about Brock Bowers this week, I'm not talking about Brock Bowers just this week. I'm talking about what I've seen from him all season. If you're betting, take his receptions. If you're betting, there's a good chance to take his yards or or him for a touchdown, because he is the only bright spot other than Myers on that Oakland, or sorry, not Oakland. It's Vegas, right? Las Vegas
Yep.
Raiders. Yep.
I
So
said
on that,
Oakland earlier too, my bad.
yeah. On that Las Vegas Raiders team. So for that reason, I'm gonna say, yeah, he's gonna be an all-time great if he keeps on going the way he's going, because he's the only bright spot on the damn team. But will he live up to the hype of Rob Gronkowski? Well, we gotta see some Super Bowl rings out of him before we see that.
Unfortunately, I'm getting big Antonio Gates vibes. I'm getting very good career with all the stats, not a lot of championships, though. That's the only feeling I'm getting from this. I feel like he's going to be the guy doing all and everything he can and just always not having the team click around him. I don't know. If he gets out of, I don't see it happening in Vegas. I'm going to tell you that for years to come. So
Maybe if they
he's
beat
got to get
out.
out. The only thing that I could kind of see happening for them is, do you think they would take a Shador Sanders, or do you think they would take more of a Cam Ward come draft season if Las Vegas is in that spot for that number one seed? They're 2-10, tied with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Giants right now. All looking at that last spot. You got the Patriots and the Panthers also in the mix with three wins. Now, if Las Vegas gets that first overall draft pick, do you think they take a quarterback to match up with Brock Bowers?
I think they take a quarterback 110%. Now, when we're saying Shador Sanders, I don't think that they're going to have the chance to pick him. I think he's going to be a top two, top three pick, but not being. I think Shador Sanders is going to go to the Giants. That's where I think he's going to end up. I don't see him going to an Oakland Raiders. When I think Oakland Raiders, I'm thinking of Quinn Ewers from Texas. That's where I'm looking at right now. He can lead a team. He's a lefty, so that's something that is different in the NFL right now, because there's not a lot of lefty quarterbacks that start. And then after that, he has a good run ability. He has a nice spiral on his ball. If they're gonna go quarterback, that's who I would go with, because of the way that Texas is playing. But I just don't see Shador Sanders being there when the Oakland Raiders are on the board. Now, another team that the quarterback is surprising me is the Ole Miss. I think personally, when you look at the quarterbacks, you're going to take an Ole Miss quarterback. You're going to take a Texas quarterback. You're going to take an Oregon quarterback more than you're going to take a guy that is like Cam Ward. I think that Cam Ward has dropped on the draft board significantly because of the few losses that Miami has been having. So for that reason, I don't see them going Ward. I think Ward has dropped down for me from top 5 to lower first round, but I do think that they go a quarterback.
So I kind of agree and I kind of disagree. I think the best fit for this system and somebody that you'd want to pair up with Brock Bowers is a strong, tall, mobile quarterback that can rifle the ball into tight windows as well as throw the deep ball, no problem, get it in where he needs to, and that's Cam Ward. I do think Cam Ward would be a good fit for the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think the head coach would resonate with him greatly. I also disagree with the fact that Shador won't be there. I think Oakland's going to have a top 3 pick end of the year. Looking at their schedule, I don't see a lot of wins left. Shador is going to be there through number 5, I believe. He's going to go top 5. Travis Hunter also is going to go up there. It all depends on what the team's priorities are in the draft. But I think it'll be available for Oakland. I mean, Las Vegas. Las Vegas will take a quarterback, like you said. I completely agree with that. I think they very well should. I don't think the quarterbacks on their roster have any business playing starter in the NFL rather than just placeholder till the next starter comes in. That's where I think those quarterbacks belong. Backups in the NFL, still a great job. I couldn't do it, but if we're talking, we want to win a championship, those aren't your guys to do it. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
no,
saying?
I agree completely, but I just want to put this stat out there. When it comes to Cam Ward is great. He's a great quarterback, but he can't lead a team. Now, yes, he is winning games against guys that are not on the ranking system, but in the ranking system, they just lost to a 12. They're number 12, and they just lost to a 22 seeded Syracuse 42-38, and they also lost a few weeks ago. um, they were the 12th ranked team, and they lost to an unranked Georgia Tech 28-23. So because of that reason, I don't know if I want to see Cam Ward on a Las Vegas Raiders team that needs a leader. That's why I'm looking at Quinn Ewers, because I know he can lead a team to victory, which is what we've been seeing all year from Texas. So
You
that's
got
the
to
reason.
remember, you got to remember that Georgia Tech team that you're saying was unranked took Georgia to 5 overtimes this past week. So
No, I
no
I
slouch
understand.
right there. And
I
then the
understand.
Syracuse game, I think they had it. They were up 2 scores in that game, kind of played like they had it in the bag. Syracuse came right back, tied it up, took the lead, punched them in the mouth, and they couldn't have recovered. That one, I definitely agree, is on the team more, but also where's Cam Ward coming back and finishing that or finishing off that game, I can understand that one. But the structure and it's giving Jamarcus Russell vibes without the failure.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like, I'm just like looking at these stats from him and looking at the games and everything like that. Like, teams that have no business being around Miami. We're talking about teams like Louisville. Louisville
But is that
52.
a defense discussion too at the end of the day? Because like he's putting up the points.
I mean, we with 90 something points in a game. I don't think we're talking about defense here. I think we're talking
That's
more
what I'm
about
saying.
offense. So
Yeah.
like, but like these are teams that like shouldn't be in the race with this Miami team. Like Louisville, they were in a game with them. We talk about Virginia Tech, another team that's not ranked, only lost by 4 points to Miami. You know, what I mean, it's just when you look at it, they're beating teams. They're beating really bad teams, but we haven't seen them
Yeah.
go against real competition yet. Other than, like I said, the Syracuse game and the Georgia Tech game. That's the reason why I brought those two games up, is because those are really the only competition that we've seen them go against all season. Which is why I'm saying that Cam Ward might not be the choice, because we haven't seen him go against big teams like Texas or Oregon or all these other teams like Georgia and everything that's in the running right now. We haven't seen that from Cam Ward yet. We've seen him beat up on bad teams like Florida State and like Boston College and stuff like that, but we haven't seen him go against the real competition yet. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, let's reel it in from the rabbit hole, but I see what you're saying, but I don't at the same time, because what I'm looking at is the individual player, not the whole team. I'm looking at Cam Ward going to another team and fitting in a system in the NFL. I like him a lot more than a short Shador Sanders type. I like him a lot more than a lot of people in college football, but we're here to talk about the NFL. We got to keep it moving. We're sliding down the East Coast. We're going to Baltimore. We got to talk about it, okay? Another loss in a game against a very good team, a very good opponent. Philadelphia Eagles beating the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are 3-3 this year against teams with 7 or more wins, and they're 5-2 against teams with 7 or less wins on the season. They beat the teams they're supposed to, but it's 50-50 in a close game for them. They either show up or they don't. Justin Tucker having kicking woes for what seems like the first time in his career. He can't seem to get out of his own way. He misses a field goal to the left, he adjusts back to the right, misses it to the right. He's missing from 40 and 50, not 60. Two things. Is it time to worry about Justin Tucker as a kicker in Baltimore? And second, why do the Ravens not put up points against good opponents?
Well, everybody has a shelf life. Let me tell you that. Everybody has a shelf life in sports, unfortunately, except for head coaches, really. So for that reason, yeah, I mean, it might be time to look at a new kicker instead of Justin Tucker. I don't think it's really that much of a big thing. I think you still stay with him. He's still one of the best kickers in the league, even when he's at his worst year. Still top 10. So I mean, when you look at that, I mean, I don't think he's the real problem. We talked about the problem for Baltimore, and they're still not doing anything about it. Derrick Henry needs to have the ball in crunch time. That's what needs to happen. He is the best running back in the league, maybe second behind Saquon Barkley, and he's not getting the touches when you brought him in here to get those type of touches on the field. You brought him in here to win games for you. You brought him in here to score touchdowns for you, and you're not giving him the ball more than 20 times a game. I still don't understand why they're doing it. Maybe they're just doing it so he's ready for the playoffs and he has more health and everything for the playoffs, and they're trying not to get him hurt or whatever. But whatever it is, Derrick Henry needs to have the ball when they need him to have it most, and that's down the field, third and fourth quarter. They need him in the game.
So we got to start with the Justin Tucker slander on your part. Okay. Justin Tucker having the worst year of his career statistically. He's a 70% this year from field goal.
Yeah.
Just downright awful. His lowest ever is 82%. His average has dropped down to an 89 after having this 70% year so far. So he was in the 90s before that. First time he's ever missed 8 kicks in a season, 8 field goal kicks in a season. And we've only played 13 games, and we have the most games he's ever going to play in a season this year. So I understand that it's time to worry a little bit, but I don't think it's time to write him off at all. I think ride him out, keep it going. He's gonna
Yeah.
make up for it. The dude's track record is great.
Yeah,
Uh,
like I said, it's a maybe. Maybe you get a rookie kicker so he can learn off of Justin Tucker, and then after that, you have like a Justin Tucker 2.0 type thing when he retires or
maybe,
whatever. But you're not
maybe.
gonna give
I don't
up.
think you
You're
could
not gonna.
clone that.
You're not gonna give up on the one of the best kickers of all time, if not the
No.
best kicker of all time. So I understand. I understand. I don't think the problem is Justin Tucker. I even at his worst, he's still top five kicker in the league. So for me, I don't think that that's the problem. I think the
Okay.
problem more stems from the offense.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're getting to the offense. I completely agree with you with the offense. I just don't understand. I mean, Lamar Jackson's mom said it to him. He said it in the press conference. His mom called him up and she was like, "Why are you not taking the open running lanes? Why are you trying to force the ball in there?" If and listen, this is a team that should be working like the Eagles. I don't understand it. It should be this. This should have been the same team versus the same team, and yet we saw a team that knew what they were doing and a team that didn't know what they were doing. If you're distributing running lanes and you're distributing the ball equally between Lamar, Henry, and throwing it, then there's very few teams in this league that are going to be able to keep up with that offense. It's like San
Yeah.
Fran when they had McCaffrey, Debo, and Purdy, and then Kittle down the middle. I mean, Baltimore has this also at the same time. You have Mark Andrews too as a solid tight end. He's getting older. He's not what he might have used to be, but he's still good and can catch a pass when you need it. You have Bateman as a deep threat. You
Yeah.
have Flowers as a deep threat. You have Derrick Henry coming down like a full head of steam. It's guaranteed 3 yards. So if you're within the 3 yard line of the end zone, you should be scoring a touchdown. They're kicking 4 field goals whenever they get on the opponent's side. I think they should start going for 4 down territory, more like the Eagles trust within their running back and their quarterback to get 1 to 3 yards. If it's fourth down, you get a 3rd and 7, a 3rd and 6. You're playing for 2 downs if you're past the 50, regardless of what. Go get it. Your offense should be that good. I don't understand why it's not. Your offensive line can move people and protect. Lamar Jackson I just honestly think sometimes they have too many weapons. There's too much going on. There's too much openness. And it's like, oh, let me throw over here real quick. Damn, that didn't work out. I should have thrown it to the wide open dude that was right in front of me over here. Or I should have taken the running lane that was a for sure first down instead of trying to get the 40-yard pass that was going to be for sure, but something went wrong. I don't know what happens to Baltimore in these games, but Justin Tucker missing field goals doesn't help. I think that'll get corrected and that'll help a little bit. But if Lamar and Henry and everybody for the Ravens don't just show up in the big game, they could literally, I believe if you flip the switch and you put the amount of points that they put up against the good teams and put it to the bad teams, they might be undefeated this year. If they beat the bad teams by 40, and they
Yep.
scored 20 against the good teams. Like just
Yep.
flip the switch and you're undefeated all year. Like besides the Bengal game that was like 41-38, I'll give them that one. That one they might have lost, but God, just show up.
Yeah, yeah, 110%. And I feel like this is where it stems from. Harbaugh has too much trust in Lamar Jackson, and he doesn't have that trust in Derrick Henry. Now, let me tell you and let me remind you that we've seen Derrick Henry go for 80-yard runs on this Baltimore Ravens team, right? So why couldn't he get a 40-yard run if the team blocks for him? Why couldn't he get a 30-yard run? Why is he not getting the touches that he should be getting? It opens up the passing lanes for Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. That's why you brought him in, and you're not utilizing that, and you're just trying to throw the ball deep 40 yards. And it's not there because you weren't using Derrick Henry to open up the lanes for the wide receivers. Because when Derrick Henry is on the field, I'm sorry, 4 or 5 guys need to have all attention on Derrick Henry to stop him. So therefore, when you have 4 or 5 guys, say you run the ball on first down, it's a 5-yard run. You run the ball on second down, it's a 2-yard run. Now you have Zay Flowers on the slot. Now you have Rashad Bateman for a 40-yard gain on a deep pass. Now you have Mark Andrews for a nice little zigzag, right? These are the things that start to open up when you start using Derrick Henry. So because they're not using Henry, it's not as open as what it was in the beginning of the season when we saw them succeed. So for that, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Baltimore. I don't know if Derrick Henry has beef with Harborough, and that's the reason why they're not giving him the ball. I don't know if it's because
Hot
they're trying
take.
to make.
Hot take.
I don't know if it's because they're trying to make sure that he's not injured for the playoffs, but you need to utilize.
That.
Yeah,
That.
yeah. You need to utilize the best running back in the league if he's the main part of your freaking offense. Like, geez, like I don't know what else to say other than that. Derrick Henry is the guy to get you there, and you're not using him.
It's a shame in Baltimore. I really thought this would be a different year, but it seems to be the same old same. With us, it's never the same old same. We have one more topic to get to today, but first, we're going to hop over to a little commercial break.
Jared, hey, we're going to need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern.
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of the stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
It's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
We're back. We're hopping down to Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence in trouble. Not in the way that you're thinking. He got hit hard. Hit very hard. I'm going to butcher this name. I think it's Aziz Ali Shair. I don't give it my best shot. Suspended for 3 games after the hit. Is it way too light of a sentence? I believe so. Live Zone. Do you think 3 games for the hit on Trevor Lawrence was sufficient enough? It doesn't even go through the end of the season. Do you think the hit was dirty as well? Or do you think it was a clean hit?
I mean, I think it was a little bit of both, right? When you're going down and you're going to tackle somebody that's going down on the ground, yeah, it's a little bit dirty, but it could just be part of the football game. You didn't think that he was going to go down like that. I understand why he went for the hit. I understand why it was, it was contacted and everything like that. I understand why he did it. But at the end of the day, in this day of NFL, you can't do that type of thing. So it's like a 50-50 for me on whether it's a dirty hit or not. I think Trevor Lawrence is done for the year. I think that with this hit and with the season that he's had, he wants nothing to do with football right now in my eyes. I just have that feeling. Jacksonville was clocked out week 6 for me. So I don't know. They could be a good team if this rookie wide receiver could have done a little bit more. I mean, he was really putting up some numbers that Christian Kirk was putting up in years past. But that's the problem right there. Christian Kirk really fell down in productivity and wasn't getting the same amount of yards that he was getting in years prior, and they were like, oh wow, we have 2 great receivers and only one of them ended up being good. So for that, I don't think Jacksonville is going to be doing much this season. I think you're going to see what we call in New England the Mac attack. It's like a heart attack because you see him throw 3 picks a game. I think you're going to be seeing that in Jacksonville for the rest of the season.
Do you think the suspension of 3 games towards the player who hit Trevor was enough? Too light?
I think it was right. I think it was right there. I think it was enough. Like I said, I don't think it was fully a dirty hit. I think he was just already going down for it, and there was no stopping it. So I think 3 games is enough. I don't know. I don't. We saw this with Miami and everything with Tua, and how he got hit and everything like that. I don't know. When quarterbacks scramble and quarterbacks run, this is the gamble that they take. So I mean, it's just part of the game.
All right, I understand that this is a split-second game, and we're looking at things as super slow-mo on replay and judging in hindsight. I keep that all in mind. I've watched the clip now 3 or 4 times, and I've watched it in real time as well. There's a clear 10-yard of separation with nobody in front of either of the players where they're looking directly at each other like, what is going to happen? And in my eyes, I believe they're both going towards the first down. Once Trevor Lawrence is clearly going to make it past the first down, I believe that he's going to slide. And as an NFL player, you know that as well. And the way that he planted and waited and then lunged forward with it, I don't think it was a dirty hit in the sense of leading with your helmet or trying to injure him per se. I think he lined up for a hit, led with the shoulder, and hit him in the head. But I think there was a little bit of he didn't have to go all the way through the way he did. He didn't have to get down to the angle that he did. If he was going to lay a hit on him, he could have done it a different way, and it wouldn't have put him in the position of where he was.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I believe this hit could have been avoided and therefore should have been a heftier suspension, because I don't think, listen, I grew up on football where you could maul people too. It wasn't the 80s and the 70s and 80s type, but it was still the 90s, 2000s. Like, people still got lit up. And I love that. I don't like all the protection that's going on with the quarterbacks, but if you're going to play with the league, and it's been established for a long time now at this point, we just don't want to see people convulsing on the field, knocked out. And you knew that was going to happen with this hit. You in that moment, you knew, I'm going to light him up if he goes down. And if you're in that position, you just shouldn't be in that position, because this is what's going to happen. I think the fine should have gone through the end of the year. I think it should have been a 5-game suspension. The guy should have been done for the year. That's that, not a 3-game suspension and come back and play 1 or 2 consolation games for the end of the year. I just don't think that's it.
I mean, listen, when you play the game of football, right, it's either hit or be hit, right? That's what we talk about all the time in football. Well, in the past anyways. Now it's please protect me, refs. But when we're playing this game of football,
Patrick Mahomes.
When we're playing this game of football, you got to be aware that you're going to get hit, and you need to protect yourself some way so you don't end up like Trevor Lawrence or Tua. So, I mean, when we look at it, I mean, it's a dirty play in today's NFL, sure, but in the NFL, no, I don't think so. It was just a hit.
It's not a dirty play in the NFL, but you're never going to have the scenario of this play in the NFL.
Yeah, well,
because you're not going to be sliding like that, because they know they're going to get lit up. But if you implement a rule where it's like, oh, you're safe, then you gotta play by the rules, and it is what it is.
I mean, unless you're one of those players,
But,
all right.
I blame Vontez Perfect. That's who I blame for all this.
Unless you're one of those players that's like, all right, well, we aren't getting calls. We're getting called on every single thing. So now I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make sure that there's a call. I mean, not knowing that he's going to hurt him, but I'm going to make sure that,
he feels it.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure that he feels it. If we're just going to play this game where we get, it's really just depends on the player that the person is. And I haven't heard anything bad from this player other than this hit. So therefore, I don't think it's a bad hit. I don't think it's a dirty hit. I just think that Trevor Lawrence wasn't in the protecting state of protecting himself. He was more worried about protecting the ball. Do you understand what I'm saying? And because
I get
of
what
that,
you're saying. I don't think
and
it's dirty either.
because of that, of course he's going to get knocked out. We saw it with Tua multiple times. He protected the ball instead of protecting himself. So when you're protecting the ball instead of protecting your head or your body or whatever it is, of course you're going to get hurt. Of course. So I mean,
Yeah, but I'm just saying in that scenario, we all know Trevor Lawrence. There was no intention from Trevor Lawrence coming up there that he was about to body somebody or
110%.
try to juke somebody out. You got to know that putting yourself in the position to launch into him is wrong, because if he makes a different decision, now you're in a bad position. Whereas if you just stood there and did a normal tackle on the man, what is the 1 yard going to matter in a game right there?
Yeah.
It,
No,
it
no,
is
I
what
hear
it
you.
is.
I hear you.
And I forgot it's Houston, so they're going to be playing in the playoffs. So actually, this is good for Houston that he only got a 3-game suspension. I would have gave it to the end of the year and then made him come back, either not be able to come back, or if they are a playoff team, he can come back for the playoffs. But
Yeah.
that's about it. The bad news is Trevor definitely got more CTE. Trevor Lawrence, can't spell Trevor Lawrence without a CT and E. Bad joke. Too soon. Whatever. That's what we got this week. Coming down the pipeline, though, later this week, got my predictions for the weekend. Live Zone's going live. I'm going live. There's more lives on East Coast Sports Investors. I've been checking out the breakfast bankroll. I've been trying to get my bankroll through sports betting. That's just me, though. That's just me. It's not really working out, as you can see. Now, I'm Mozzie. You can find me on X at Maserati. That's Mazzurati, number 1, Maserati1. Live Zone, you can find them at official Live Zone, OFFICAL.LIVEZONE on Instagram and X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Real Live Zone. Always shout out East Coast Sports Investors. Always shout out Rhythm Sports Revolt. I'm getting you my article, okay? You're going to see this video. I'm going to send you an article. It's going to be mutual. We're going to get it going, okay? We have a lot going down. Shout out Atlanta Stakes, La Viva. The NFL for always putting on a show every weekend, every Thursday, putting on a show this past weekend, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. Love it. Live Zone, any words for the people before we go?
Just be on the lookout for all the lives. I know we got multiple lives a day, either with, Jeff Dawson and, the owner of East Coast Sports Investors, or it's with me and Mozzie or whoever it may be. So make sure you're looking out for that morning, mid-evening, nighttime, whatever it is. And then after that, make sure you're following up on the social medias, because we got a lot of things coming pretty soon here, especially with Live Zone Sports. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. As always, we'll see you soon, and
Stay tuned.